Hey everybody, welcome to Britpop Shack. You're me, BP1, no BP2. As he was out avoiding Hurricane Milton on his cruise. So yeah, I thought we'd do a quick video around it because we've got a lot of Patreons and a lot of our subscribers in Florida. And it was lovely to hear that so many obviously stay safe, which is great news. And I thought we'd look at some of the devastation reported in the news. This comes from CBS. Hopefully we can get this through copyright and it can go out. But yeah, Hurricane Milton, it was, come from the Gulf of Mexico, quickly zipped up to a Category 5, and that was its most fearful because those winds, it's total devastation at a Category 5, which is just awful. But thank the Lord, it went down to a Category 3, which is still pretty damn bad when it did make landfall on the west coast of America in Florida. And yeah, the devastation, I think, I'm not too sure because we haven't seen it too much reported. I mean, it was everywhere in the British news, but since its actual pass through Florida, we haven't seen too much. So I've had to zip over to the other side of the pond to get the report on it, really. And yeah, I think it's went down to Category 1, which is still 100 odd miles an hour winds, 120 mile an hour winds, which is still, still do some damage. So let's see what actually happened in the different places as we go through.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. We begin our report with the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. The storm made landfall Wednesday night as a Category 3 hurricane near Siesta Key on the western side of Florida. Milton spawned more than 30 tornadoes and caused catastrophic storm surge. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says some areas received up to 18 inches of rain. State officials confirm at least 10 people have died, and according to Power Outage US, about 3 million Floridians are without electricity. Tens of thousands of residents spent the night in shelters.
I mean, at least there was really good warning.
One of those shelters, Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, had its roof ripped off. No injuries were reported there. Stadium officials say the venue's roof was built to withstand 115-mile-per-hour winds. However, with Milton, winds reached a maximum of sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. On Thursday, President Joe Biden warned conditions.
Let's just say that again. So, the roof here, St. Petersburg, could withstand up to 115 miles an hour. I'm not so sure about that. If that's 120 miles an hour, that's just literally 5 miles an hour more, which is, I think they got sold a dud there, but that's pretty horrific, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot of damage. I suppose it's just material as opposed to anything else.
Conditions in Florida are still very dangerous. He also addressed the problem with the spread of storm disinformation.
We know from previous hurricanes that it's often the case that more lives are lost the days following the storm than actually during the storm itself. Vice President Harris and I have been in constant contact with the state and local officials. We're offering everything they need, despite the misinformation and lies. The truth is, we're providing the resources needed to rescue, recover, and rebuild.
How do celebrities
I think his days are numbered
and The Rock generate hundreds of millions of dollars?
For more information, I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen in Daytona Beach, Florida. I know you've been hard at work this entire time, Tom.
Daytona
Just
Beach.
Give us a sense of what areas were hit the hardest there in Florida.
Hey there, Jerika. Good to be with you. Well, because this storm carved across virtually every part of Florida, the center of Florida, it's really hard to quantify which parts were hit the hardest. But let's start on the western side, because no doubt that is where the storm slammed in and caused devastating conditions. As you mentioned, that storm made landfall on Siesta Key, a community that was just getting back on its feet from Hurricane Helene. That includes the debris piles and a massive blender of a storm picking up that debris and hurling it through the air, causing just unspeakable damage in certain parts. Then when the storm moved through the center, it dropped tornadoes, which were also deadly.
Yeah,
damaging.
tornadoes.
Once
Yeah,
it
it's
got to
really bad, isn't it?
Side of Florida on the eastern coast, you know, Milton did not go quietly here. Just take a look behind me. You can see that the surf is still roaring hours after the storm has completely left. Now, I want to talk about the seawall here, which we are standing in front of, and you can see that these powerful waves have begun to erode parts of the seawall. That staircase just behind me over there, that was standing yesterday. Now it is on its side. The hotel we were staying at, their seawall is about to go. But that it pales in comparison to the death toll.
Power,
though.
It's just power, isn't it? Water's got so much power.
Of the state had a significant death toll. We're talking on the eastern side in St. Petersburg and Volusia County. Deaths in each of those counties, 1 in Polk and Citrus counties, and 5 in St. Lucie counties from that outbreak of tornadoes. You know, Jerika, these storms
tornadoes
are hard to look away from. They can be fascinating.
Hurricane's
they are
bad,
interesting, but they are also devastating every single time.
And speaking of devastation, you know, the governor declared a state of emergency for 51 of the 67 counties there. Evacuation orders, as you know, were placed for dozens of those counties. Give us a sense of what happened to those that you've been able to speak to who did listen to those warnings. And again,
it's just on that. I mean, the death toll at the moment stands at 10, which is awful. But at the same time, I think, as President Biden said, I think it's the days afterwards where that number can grow. I just had a quick look in the background. Actually, Hurricane Michael. If you remember Hurricane Michael, that had 74 deaths. Whether it was preparation or not, I mean, I guess with Milton, it had a lot of attention, obviously being a Category 5. And that evacuation really did, I think, keep the death tolls of Milton down. Because sometimes it's, you know, obviously you get the damage from a hurricane, but the tornadoes, I mean, wherever they touch down, if you're not prepared for that or you haven't got anywhere to get to in safety, you know, the tornado wins every time. You know, it's just scary at how fast the winds are within a tornado, and you just don't stand a chance. Okay, let's carry on watching this. I think this is a lot more info in here.
You mentioned the few counties on that other side that have had the reports of deaths, but what are you hearing about those search and rescue efforts now?
Well, we know that search and rescue efforts are well underway at this point. On the Gulf side, 1,400 different crews are standing by, ready to carry out search and rescue efforts, and they have been all day, busy at work, pulling people from their homes, rescuing people in the flood zones. That has also been the case here on the west, or on the east, on the eastern side of the state as well, Jerika. We have seen crews at work, both trying to restore power, also urging people to avoid going back to their homes in those flood zones. You know, we visited a flood zone earlier today, which was inundated with flood water from the storm. Homes that had 1-2 feet of standing water. Now, the one thing about that water is you're not just walking through water, you're walking through potentially debris, downed power lines that could still be live wires, toxic chemical leaks. Those are things to consider, and still people were going back to what was left of their homes, Jerika. People are eager to get back to see what has happened to their homes.
Yeah, really unfortunate for so
that
many
is true.
people.
You would,
Tom
wouldn't
Hansen
you?
in Daytona Beach, thank you for your
reporting. Assess that damage.
I want to go now to CBS News meteorologist and hurricane expert David Young.
All right, so I'm just going to pause it there because obviously there's a lot of, you know, wanted to see, you know, what it actually done. It's, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Let's have a look, see if we can find some other stuff. Oh, here we go. This is a British station. Sorry about the adverts there, people.
Braced for impact, they'd been told. And as Hurricane Milton finally made its landfall last night, its fury was on full display.
Coming in like a tsunami, you guys!
The Category 3 storm made landfall in Sarasota County, halfway down Florida's Gulf Coast, where the waters rose 10 feet high.
See, why do people do
Even
this?
for the most daring of storm chasers, its ferocity had them running for cover.
It's just after 9:30.
Oh, why do they make reporters do this?
In Florida, the eye of the hurricane has made landfall just south of here. The rain is pelting down. The streets, as you can see, are flooded, and the water, I can tell you, is rising by the minute. This is turning into an extremely dangerous situation.
Over 3 million homes lost power.
There goes our power for the 8th time.
As Milton sliced its way across the state.
Oh.
The winds up to 85 miles an hour.
No!
So powerful, they slammed a tower crane into a downtown St. Petersburg building.
Gee.
But what had been dubbed the storm of the century, though, did not in the end materialize. It weakened to a Category 1 hurricane as it moved through the state, and the feared catastrophic storm surges.
I mean, we can see the damage from just a Category 1. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look at that. That's tornado damage, surely. Wow. Oh my God, look at that. How do you even walk through that? And this is the thing. You know, that's Category 3 down to a 1. I mean, if it was a 4, imagine if it was a 4 or 5. It doesn't even bear thinking about, does it? You know? I mean, I suppose the only plus point ever is that as soon as a hurricane does hit land, you know, it does weaken considerably quite quickly. But if you're in its path when it lands, yeah, that it looks like St. Petersburg, Tampa to get the worst of it. Oh man, I'm so glad that we don't have to put up with these on a yearly basis. I take my hats off to you, especially in Florida and anywhere around. You know, I know Florida's had more hurricanes hit than any other place on Earth, I believe, or certainly in America. You know, of all the states. So, yeah, fair play, and I hope you're all safe that's watching this, and you have got the power, obviously. So yeah, all I can say is, you know, yeah, we think of people out there having to put up with, to, you know, go back to their home that's just devastated, all the clear up work from all the trees and debris, even from, you know, Helene. We saw a lot, you know, the debris and that created was just awful. So, you know, we pray that we don't have any more hurricanes coming your way for this year. There you go. Thanks for joining me today at Britpops React. You know, it's always a tough one when you watch a hurricane, because it's, like I said in the video, it's interesting as a spectacle of natural disasters. But it's also very real for the people that are in its path and what it can do. So, yeah. Thank you very much. Let us know in the comments, has it affected you? Were you were you badly affected, or was it not too bad at all, and you know, you sailed through it? So thanks for joining me. Goodbye.